BJ Mafia was popping. Jags fans, what a hectic week it has been. In week 18, the Jaguars lost to the Titans. We were eliminated from playoff contention, and then the Jaguars made some big changes as they fired defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell this week, and the entirety of the defensive staff, excluding outside linebackers coach. The Jaguars made a lot of big changes, but Trent Baalke, our general manager, and Press Taylor still remain, and I want to talk about that here today. I've had a couple of days to kind of cool off, really think about how I wanted to go about this video, and I'm going to talk about Press Taylor first, then I'll talk about Trent Baalke, and at the end, I'll give my verdict and explain to you guys where I stand with all of this. Now, I'm going to relay a lot of information in this video, so make sure you guys just stick with me. I know it's a lot, but we're going to discuss it all because I want to make sure that we can get through it all in today's video. Now, let's talk about Press Taylor first and foremost. So from 2013 to 2020, this guy's been in Philadelphia. His role has changed. He's worked his way up the ranks. But for 7 years, or I guess 8 seasons, 7 or 8 seasons, he was in Philadelphia from 2013 to 2020. 2013 to 15, he was the Eagles offensive quality controls coach with Chip Kelly. 2016 and 17, he was the Eagles assistant quarterbacks coach. 2018 and 19, the quarterbacks coach. 2020, his last season in Philadelphia with Doug Peterson, he was the Eagles offensive pass game coordinator and the quarterbacks coach. 2021, he goes to Indianapolis for one lone season. He's the Colts senior offensive assistant coach. And then these last 2 seasons, he's been in Jacksonville back with Doug Peterson as the offensive coordinator of the team. But if you recall, this season in 2023, he was the first time full-time play caller for this Jags team. So that was an adjustment, I'm sure, for Trevor Lawrence and the entirety of the staff. Now, let's go ahead and dig into some Dilla tweets on Twitter, obviously a very credible source. He says the organization is split on Press Taylor. Trent Baalke wants Press Taylor out. Doug Peterson wants to keep Press Taylor around. Power struggle? We'll find out. Now, for you guys that recall what Doug Peterson did in Philadelphia, do you guys recall exactly what had happened on his way out? He wanted Press Taylor to become the offensive coordinator of the team, and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, the owner and the general manager of the Eagles, said absolutely not. It's either you're going to get the hell out or we're going to hire coordinators from the outside looking in, because Doug Peterson wanted to hire within this organization, bring guys up the ranks, and he obviously wanted his little golden boy, Press Taylor, to become the next offensive coordinator of the team. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie said absolutely not. Get out. They fired Doug Peterson, and that's obviously why Doug Peterson took 2021 off. Press Taylor went to Indianapolis, and look at this now. Fast forward a couple of seasons, the Jaguars are in a power struggle yet again with Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, and Press Taylor and this entirety of this situation. Now, with Press Taylor, though, it is rumored that Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State University, is recruiting Press Taylor to come to Ohio State. Now, I think that would be a very interesting move. Obviously, this is all according to Dilla and a few other sources, but we'll have to continue to monitor that situation. Now, according to Dilla, yet again, Trevor Lawrence is less than fond of Press, and Shad Khan wants Doug to call plays again. Trevor's camp is not real happy with the team-building aspect of Baalke, though. I heard he had met with Doug today, and this was back on January 10th. So you have a lot of different factors going into this. I think ultimately, at the very end of the day, whatever Trevor Lawrence wants right now, you give it to him. You make sure that your franchise quarterback is taken care of, and that you're building the right team, the right coordinators, and the coaching staff around Trevor Lawrence. Now, I went ahead and did the liberty of going through the ranks of 2022 and 2023, what the Jaguars did with Press Taylor as the full-time offensive coordinator, but as a first-time play caller, and back when Doug was play calling in 2022. I'm going to go ahead and put that graphic up on the screen for you guys. So in 2022, the Jaguars were 9th in points per game, 7th in yards per game, 10th in passing yards per game, 14th in rushing yards per game, and 17th in red zone efficiency. Now fast forward to 2023 with Press Taylor now as the full-time offensive coordinator, and obviously there's multiple layers to all of this, but the numbers are shocking. The Jaguars were 13th in both points per game and yards per game. They were 9th in passing yards per game, 24th in rushing yards per game with one of the best running backs in all of football, and they were 21st in red zone efficiency. The numbers are glaring. The numbers are staring out at you and says that obviously Press Taylor has his fingerprint all over this. Yes, the offensive line was porous. Yes, there was miscommunications from the quarterback to the receivers. There was a lot of issues, and obviously Trevor Lawrence's turnovers. There's so many layers to all of this, but at the end of the day, you are the full-time play caller and the offensive coordinator of the team. And even though Press Taylor was not a perfect offensive coordinator in his first season, Doug Peterson still backed him up and said, did I think he did a good job of, managing the game and organizationally getting everything structured? He defended his guy, and honestly, I'm not surprised at all. It was just very glaring. From week 1 at Indianapolis to the very end of the season, the offensive play calling did not look like there was a rhythm. It looked very porous. It looked very sporadic. It just did not look like a well-oiled machine. But let's go ahead and stop talking about Press Taylor, the golden boy child for Doug Peterson. Let's talk about third-year general manager for the Jaguars, Trent Baalke. Now, I know a lot of you guys have seen this graphic. I'm going to put it back up on the screen for you guys. But Trent Baalke's tenure as a general manager in this league from San Francisco to Jacksonville, it has been eye-opening, to say none the least. 5 head coaches fired, and we'll have to see what continues to go on with Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, and the rest of the organization. Jim Harbaugh, Jim Toulousa, Chip Kelly, Doug Marrone, Urban Meyer, all fired under Trent Baalke. Like I said, eye-opening stuff. Now, let me go ahead and talk about the good, right? I know you guys don't want to hear it, but let's talk about the good with Trent Baalke. If we're going to ridicule him and get on him, let's talk about the good first. His 2021 draft class, right? Anybody could have picked Trevor Lawrence, but nonetheless, he picked Trevor Lawrence. We got Trevor Lawrence, Etienne, Andre Cisco, Walker Little, Tyson Campbell, and Luke Farrell, all in the 2021 draft class. A very good and deep draft class for the Jaguars. And you guys can say, well, Urban Meyer made this pick and Urban Meyer made that pick. Look, at the end of the day, the general manager, he should still get some credit for that, okay? 2021 free agency class, you had Tyler Shatley, DeJuan Smoot, Trey Herndon, Roy Robertson Harrison, Rayshawn Jenkins, and Marvin Jones Jr. You re-signed some guys back onto the roster. Okay, no huge big-time moves, but you know what? I don't mind it whatsoever. And also, you had Jamal Agnew in there as well, too. So I was very happy about that. 2022 draft class. Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, honestly still to be determined because he did have a much better second season, but, we'll see. Chad Muma, to be determined. Buster Brown, looking like a good late-round pick. Now with the 2022 free agency class, you had Brandon Sheriff, Foye Oluokun, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Darius Williams, and Arden Key. He nailed that free agency class. A lot of money spent, but he nailed it. 2022 trade deadline, you go and acquire Calvin Ridley, regardless if we re-sign him or not. That was a good move. 2023 draft class, you had Anton Harrison, Antonio Johnson, Parker Washington, and Ventrell Miller to be determined. The rest of that draft class, not looking so good. So there's bits and pieces from 2021 to 2023 where you see good moves. You're not going to land every pick. You're not going to land every free agent signing. It's just inevitable. But let's talk about the bad with Trent Baalke, right? And this is just a few things that I can name off the top of my head that I wrote down. Shaq Griffin, Falaronzu Fatukasi, Roy Robertson Harrison getting an extension, Snoop Connor, Luke Fortner, Tank Bigsby, Brenton Strange, run blocking tight end really in the second round. Doing nothing with the 2023 free agency. Our biggest signing this offseason was Dearness Johnson. Not bringing in a Danielle Hunter, a Chase Young, or any kind of top premium edge rusher to put alongside Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. You even let Jadeveon Clowney get out of the building, and he went to Baltimore. And the Jaguars were just so conservative. And the problem with Baalke was after the Jaguars went 9-8 last season, overachieved and exceeded everybody's expectations, we went 9-8 again because he was conservative as hell this offseason, going into the free agency class, with the draft, etc. You didn't build a better offensive line. You didn't go out there and make any big-time trades. You were conservative, and it showed, despite the injuries, especially in the trenches. When you talk about Cam Robinson only appearing in 9 games, he had the suspension. He went on IR for a little bit. You had receivers banged up. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, banged up. Trevor Lawrence regressed, and I guess so, but there's layers to this. He was banged up all season long. The coaching didn't look good. It was a struggle from start to finish for Trent Baalke this entire 2023 offseason, going into the season, and at the end of the season. Now let me get into my final verdict because I know I'm yapping a lot. The guy that should go first and foremost is absolutely Trent Baalke. I don't like to call for guys' jobs. These guys have families, livelihoods, bills to pay. I don't like to call for guys' jobs. Trent Baalke's job needs to go because you did not build the right team and fundamental structure around our franchise quarterback. Plain and simple. Trevor Lawrence is priority number one in this organization. It's not Trent Baalke. It's not Press Taylor. Hell, it's not even Doug Peterson. It is Trevor freaking Lawrence is our priority number one, and you failed him in year 3. You went into year 3 thinking, I'm going to rely upon Trevor Lawrence to continue to have a year 3 progression, which is what we all expected. It's probably what Baalke expected. And you failed him. You failed him tremendously in year 3. Baalke's job is the first one that needs to go. You didn't build the offensive line for him, and you sure as hell didn't build a defensive line for that front 7 on the defensive side of the ball. Big issue right there. Now, Press Taylor's job, I won't say needs to be first gone, but I do think he needs to be demoted. There is no way in hell you can run back this same team, or even if you add a couple more pieces, and expect Press Taylor to go in there and just magically fix everything through one offseason. Is it possible? Absolutely. And look, did Press Taylor really have a fair opportunity in his first season as a full-time play caller? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll say no, he did not. So many injuries, and what can you do with the player development when you were lacking the talent on the interior of the offensive line as a whole, the injuries, etc. And look, just to summarize all of this, Trent Baalke absolutely needs to go. Press Taylor, he needs to go, but he needs to be demoted, I think. I think he needs to be demoted first and foremost. I want Frank Reich in here as offensive coordinator alongside Doug Peterson, and that's just where I stand with all of this. I give Press Taylor the benefit of the doubt. I don't think necessarily he had a fair chance in his first year as a full-time play caller. Now, he did have a lot of F-ups. He did mess up a lot. He should be scrutinized and held accountable. But when you look at the offensive line, how porous it was in terms of talent, in terms of the evaluation of talent, that falls on the shoulders of Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke needs to go, plain and simple. And Jags fans, I know I said a lot in this video. I think you guys understand where I'm coming from and you understand my frustration. I'm saying Trent Baalke needs to go. Doug Peterson needs to demote Press Taylor or let him go. Either one. He cannot be the full-time play caller again. I have little to no faith in him, and I'm sure a majority of the fan base doesn't either. I'm sure Trevor Lawrence doesn't. Whatever Trevor Lawrence wants this offseason, just do it. Just do it and give him a fair opportunity going into year 4. That is all I ask for. Jags fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm active and I'm on there every single day. Please let me know your thoughts. But thank you again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ. I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.